I finished that and went and wrote up the thesis, fairly businesslike, 3 years on the dot, and I applied for a job with the British Geological Survey and got the job. And so it was in the summer. I was in London in the geology department at the university. I think writing a bit of a paper on some aspect of the thesis. No one else there hardly. And I got a phone call from the departmental secretary, and she says, we have this fellow here called Carlos Rees, and he doesn't speak very much English, and he says that he knows you. And anyway, he was the director of the Chilean Geological Survey. Who'd come to see my prof, who was not there. So the secretary said, well, if you take him to lunch, we'll pay. So I was at this stage, about 4 weeks up from taking up the new job, absolutely skint. So chance of a good lunch and potentially a bottle of wine was very attractive. So took him out to lunch, and the reason he was there is because the Russians had invaded Prague just at the time of the International Geological Congress.
68.
68.
Yeah,
sorry,
I remember
that. That's right.
Yeah.
And so all these delegates had to make the best way out of what was then Czechoslovakia as they could, and he got on a train and crossed Germany and ended up in London. So it was entirely fortuitous that the fellow was there. Anyway, we had lunch and he said, we're setting up this porphyry copper project.
So are you saying part of your career actually results from actions by the Soviet Union?
Yeah, exactly.
Carry on.
Highly influential, I would say. Yeah, so anyway, he said, we're setting up this porphyry copper project. He said, would you like to run it? Well, I nearly fell off my chair, and not knowing very much or basically nothing about porphyry copper deposits, so it was a little bit of a stretch. And he said, you'll have to send me a telex by Monday, and this was Friday. So I gave it a little thought over the weekend and decided, well, I'll do it. So I telexed him in the affirmative, turned down another job with the British Geological Survey, and in less than a month, I was on the plane back to Santiago again. So
as an employee of the Chilean Survey.
Yeah.
How many other gringos were hired by the survey at that time?
Well, there was one other fellow who had worked with me on the project that I'd been working on, and he was a geomorphologist, and he was involved in the geomorphological project in Chile. So I worked there for about 3 years, and then communism raised its head yet again, because Allende was elected as president, and it became very difficult for anybody to work in Chile, let alone a foreigner. And so I had to find some way really of further employment.